right, first and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. We're gonna get right into it. Start with this lesson. I'm gonna deal with the concept of a mamzer. Okay, there's a lot of controversy in Israel about what a mamzer is. I've dealt with this before years ago, but it kind of came back up. So we want to go thoroughly in depth into this concept, because a lot of people have a misconception fueled by Willie Lynch syndrome, quite frankly, and loosely interpreting scripture. So what we're going to do is cut into it through spirit and power of Yahweh, of course. First, let's go to Deuteronomy 23 and 2-3. That's the first place we're going to go, because this is where they try to get it from. Go ahead.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 2. It says, a bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord.
A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Okay? That's verse 2. Bastard in Hebrew is mamzer, so you can understand. Go ahead.
Even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Lord.
Even into the 10th generation of a bastard, of a mamzer, shall not enter into the congregation, right? Now, read on to the third verse.
Verse 3, an Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to their 10th generation.
Now, I'm going to show you something. We could close the book now if we wanted to. It's over. It just told us what a mamzer is or what a bastard is. It elaborated in the next verse by saying a bastard in general, like the Moabites and the Ammonites. How were Moabites and Ammonites produced? Through incest, okay? That's what a bastard is, a product of incest. You ever seen The Hills Have Eyes? Those type of people, they wouldn't be welcome to the congregation. Okay, that's what it's talking about.
And if I could add, the way that the topic was brought up about a mamzer, it was said pretty much that a mamzer wouldn't be able to enter into the 3rd generation. But we read in the scripture just tells us the 10th generation.
So it cuts that.
The word 44:64.
Go ahead.
It's the word mamzer, Hebrew word mamzer or mamzar. It says bastard, child of incest.
Sorry if I can't get it.
Illegitimate child.
All right, so a bastard, a child of incest, right? Child of incest. That's the primary meaning for it, a child of incest.
The word a mamzer is a person born from certain forbidden relationships, or the descendant of such a person in the Hebrew Bible and Jewish religious law. A mamzer is someone who is either born of adultery by a married Jewish woman and a Jewish man who is not her husband, or born of incest, as defined by the Bible.
Notice it says the Bible defines it as incest. Everything else is customary. You may find later in certain people's tradition, but the Bible defines incest as what determines whether or not you're a mamzer, right? So that's all I wanted on that. Let's go to Genesis 19 and 36 to 38. And Atazman, you can get 1 Chronicles 23 and 14 from the We're just going to attack. We're going to attack this doctrine at every angle.
Say 23 and 14?
23 and 14, yeah, Con, and hold that.
Genesis 19:36.
36 to 38, Con.
Genesis chapter 19, verse 36. It says, thus were both the daughters of Lot with their children by their father.
So 2 daughters of Lot, right? Lot had 2 daughters prior to the Sodom and Gomorrah being destroyed, right? Now, both their daughters got their dad drunk, had sex with him, got pregnant by him, right? So read on.
And the first bore a son and called his name Moab.
Moab. Now, didn't we just read a Moabite cannot enter the congregation till the 10th generation? Right? Just like a bastard, because a Moabite is an entire race of bastards, right? Read on.
The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day.
That's right, read on.
And the younger, she bare a son and called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon.
The same is the father of the children of Ammon. So it says, Moab and Ammon shall not enter into the 10th generation, giving us clear clarification and understanding on what it means to be a bastard. The same thing that these people are, right? Because now it had to tell us that Moabites and Ammonites couldn't until the 10th generation, because think about it. Even though they might not be a product of incest, their whole race is a product of incest. It might not literally, a sister and a brother might not have gotten together, but that's how they came into existence. That's why they suffer from what? Mongoloidism. That's something that's consistent of what? Incest. That happens when incest occurs. You see what I'm saying? When people of close kinship get together. That's what it's talking about. Again, we can close the book now and it's over, but we're going to keep going, right? Is that on that? Okay. Give me that in 1 Chronicles. Get Numbers 12 and start at the top. Go ahead.
1 Chronicles 23 and 14. Now concerning Moses,
because people will tell you that Mamzer means somebody's mixed. They didn't have an Israelite mother. This is what they'll tell you, right? Read.
The man of God.
Moses is a man of God. You know what Moses' wife was? Ethiopian. She was not an Israelite. She was a Hamitic person. You see what I'm saying, right? Go ahead.
His sons were named of the tribe of Levi.
But his sons were named Israelites. You see what I'm saying? Letting you know that it's the father that determines one's nationality, right? Now let's go here to Numbers 12.
Numbers chapter 12, verse 1.
We're going to read the 10. Go ahead.
And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman.
So his brother and sister had a problem with him dealing outside of their race and going with an Ethiopian girl, right? Read.
Whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman.
That's right. And they had his sons. But his sons were called Israelites of the tribe of Levi, right?
That's right. That's right. And they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Has he not spoken also by us?
They thought they had authority because the Lord spoke through Aaron and the Lord spoke through Miriam, right? Read on.
And the Lord heard it. Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth.
So he was meek. Moses was not confrontational. He was a humble person. He didn't want to argue with his brother and sister about this.
The Lord spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam. Come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation.
He said, come into the tabernacle. Right, read on.
And they three came out. And the Lord came down in the pillar of a cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle
read on.
and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision.
That's right.
And I will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house.
So he said, look, how does God typically deal with his prophets? He either comes into him in a vision or a dream. Right? He didn't deal with Moses like that. He appeared directly to Moses, unlike he ever did with anybody else. So he's saying that, yeah, I did speak to you guys, but Moses, I'm dealing with him on a higher level, right? Read on.
Verse 8, with him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches, and in similitude of the Lord.
And he didn't give him, like you read in certain prophecies, and it'll be like a mystery, like it'll say, I saw a bird, and the bird came, and the bird dropped a piece of bread out of the sky, you know, and then you have to interpret what that prophecy is. He didn't deal with Moses like that. He gave him clear instructions. Everything he told him was plain and simple. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
It says, and the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then we are not afraid to speak against my servant Moses.
He's saying, you dare to speak against this man? Read.
It says, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against him, and he departed.
And he departed, right? That was 10?
No, verse 10.
That's a lot.
And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous.
That's right. She became leprous because she was mad about him dealing with the Ethiopian girl. I mean, just like your sister might be. Oh, why you got to deal with that kind of girl? Why you got to deal with that? It's understandable, whatever. But she came in Moses like that, and she was smitten with leprosy. You see what I'm saying? Which is the worst thing that could happen to an Israelite, right? Read.
As white as snow. It says, and
she lost her melanin, right? We talk about the melanin transplant or whatever. She lost her melanin, right? Before talking against her brother. Read.
It says, and Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous.
And she was leprous. Why did she become leprous? Because she had an objection to his union with the Ethiopian woman. Now, we are advised to deal within our own nation, right? Have our own people. That's true. But things happen. Sometimes men get with other women, and the product of the relationship will still be an Israelite. That's the whole point of this. So they had no business talking against them.
Numbers chapter 1, verse 18. It says, and they assembled all the congregation together.
So the whole congregation assembled, right? Read on.
On the first day of the second month. And they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers.
By the house of their fathers. So that's what determines who you are, who your father is. You see what I'm saying? Now, does that make women irrelevant? No. See, because you have a lot of women who go by this doctrine because they're playing to certain insecurities that they may have. They try to feel like it makes them irrelevant. No, it doesn't make a woman irrelevant by any means. But who you are is determined by your father at the end of the day. That's all. You see what I'm saying? It's not. That's just how the Most High works. When you and like spermiogenesis, right? We all start as what? A sperm. You go into an egg, but you were alive as a sperm first. You see what I'm saying? So you first. That's all it is. You see what I'm saying? That's why you are the same thing that he is, right? That was it on that?
Yeah, and no, it wasn't.
Okay, go ahead.
And declared their pedigree after their fathers, after their families, by the house of their fathers,
by the house of their fathers,
according to the the number of the names
Uh-huh.
from 20 years old and upwards
That's right.
by their poll. People saying that a human could make you a heathen and not an Israelite, being a mamzer, I guess, or a bastard. Would that be the same with intermingling within the 12 tribes? Does the woman make you whatever tribe that? So if a Judite man got with an Ephraimite woman, does that make that baby an Ephraimite?
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, on that same premise alone is going to get Numbers 1 and 18. You see what I'm saying?
Beautiful, beautiful point.
You said Judges.
Judges 11, and we're gonna start at 2, because we're gonna show, because we go to the laws, we go to the history, we see how they're codified, and then we got to go into certain things in the history to see how they actually play out. Because if we want to get technical, which we're gonna get into, the nation didn't come about from Israelite women, but from various women from various places. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, come on, where did we become a nation at? In Egypt, right? Wouldn't that mean we're taking Egyptian women?
Yeah.
I mean, how else are we gonna become 1 million people in Egypt? Gotta be taking Egyptian women. That's what happened. You know what I'm saying? So
another thing is, guess what? Man, trying to the 12 patriarchs had sisters. So why didn't the line go through? Why didn't we all just
have a baby with Dinah?
That's right.
Because that's wicked. That would make you a bastard.
Why isn't it 14 tribes? Wasn't it? It was 1 girl or 2 girls?
One girl, Dinah.
One girl, Dinah. So why isn't it 13 tribes?
Yeah.
Or 14 tribes, because Dan
and then that's the thing too, because now remember, what did Levi and Simeon do? Levi and Simeon went and killed them Hamites that dealt, and Jacob got mad at it. Because uncircumcised heathen deal with our sister. But Jacob like, well, who's gonna get with her? Y'all can't get with her. She can't get with an Israelite, because that will be going off. So she's gonna have to get with the heathen. We just gonna have to deal with that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So these things.
Judges 11 and 2.
11 and 2 to 10.
Judges chapter 11 verse 2. And Gilead's wife bare him sons.
Gilead is of the tribe of Manasseh. So they are the so-called Cubans, right? So read.
And his wife's sons grew up.
They grew up. Read.
And they thrust out Jephthah. It says, and said unto him, thou shalt not inherit in our father's house, for thou art the son of a strange woman.
They say, you're the son of a strange woman. Your mother isn't one of us. She's a heathen. Get out of here. You have to go. This is what they said. This is what some people would do now, right? Read.
Then Jephthah fled from his brethren and dwelt in the land of Tob.
So he left. He got out of it, right? Read on.
And there were gathered vain men to Jephthah and went out with him. And it came to pass in process of time that the children of Ammon made war against Israel.
Children of Ammon, which are actual mamzers and bastards.
That's right.
Right? And these people, they started making trouble with his brothers. Read.
And it was so that when the children of Ammon made war against Israel, the elders of Gilead went to fetch Jephthah out of the land of Tob.
They went to go get him because he was known, he was mighty. He was probably large in size. Like it said, matter of fact, hold that and give me a Genesis 6 real quick about the sons of God and the daughters of men.
It says, this is 6 and 4. There were giants in the earth in those days.
Giant. The word giant means a man of renown, basically. Okay, people think it's, I mean, we were larger back then, but just overall, it just means a man of renown. Read.
And also after that, when the sons of the Most came in unto the daughters of men.
People think I was talking about angels fell from heaven and started having sex with women. That's crazy. It's talking about the sons of God, God's chosen people. Basically like a black man having a baby with a white woman, or a black man having a baby with an Asian woman, right? Go ahead.
It says, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men.
They became mighty men. That's Jephthah. He had a strange mother, but a black father, so-called black father, Israelite father, so-called Cuban father, right? And he was a mighty man. That's all it means. Read.
Which renown.
He had renown. He had a reputation for being a warrior. That's why they went to go get him when problems occurred, right? Go ahead.
Going back to Judges 11, and we were at verse 6. It says, and they said unto Jephthah, come and be our captain, that we might fight with the children of Ammon.
So come lead us into battle. Read.
And Jephthah said unto the elders of Gilead, do not ye hate me and expel me out of thy father's house?
I thought
my father's house?
I thought I wasn't black enough. You see what I'm saying? Right? Go ahead.
And why are you come now? It's like, and why are you come?
I thought I was a halfie, right? Go ahead.
And why are you when you are in distress.
Yeah, now I'm your brother, right, Reed?
And the elders of Gilead said unto Jephthah, therefore we turn again to thee now, that thou mayest go with us and fight against the children of Ammon.
He said, look, damn all that, man. We need you, okay? We're sorry. Go ahead.
And be our head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. Jephthah said unto the elders of Gilead, if ye bring me home again to fight against the children of Ammon, and the Lord deliver them before me, shall I be your head? And the elders of Gilead said unto Jephthah, the Lord be witness between us, if we do not so according to thy words. That was 10.
So basically, what happened, brother, because he had a different mother, or a mother that was not an Israelite, and what happened is they ended up going through something, and the Most High had it to where he's the one that led them into battle. This isn't to say any of us are better than the other one. All this is saying is we're all the same people, whether we have, whether we're so-called mixed or not. That's all the same. You see what I'm saying? And that's a clear example of that. That's an unavoidable example of that. That was it on that? You have a precept? What's the other one or no? Oh, okay. Just like you just follow. Okay. Go back to Deuteronomy 23 and read 7. And the times of my whole Genesis 4 and 23 from. But now we're going to go later in Deuteronomy 23. Because what happens is the people who have cooked up this Mamzer doctrine to say if you're a mixed, you're a Mamzer, what they did was they took Deuteronomy 23 and 2 and merged it with Deuteronomy 23 and 7, which the context, and it's later in the chapter, it's talking about different things, listing off various laws. So the doctrine comes from an interpretation of merging two scriptures that don't even go together, right? So read that, Deuteronomy 23 and 7.
Deuteronomy chapter 23.
This at every angle, so read on.
Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite.
It says you shall not abhor an Edomite. Read on.
For he is thy brother.
For he is thy brother. Read.
Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian.
This scripture right here is a very controversial verse. Read.
Because I was a stranger in this land.
Now I'm going to show you something, right? Sidebar from the point that we're talking. Quote Deuteronomy 23 and 7, right? And they'll say that we can't abhor Edomites. A lot of people want to have a love the white man doctrine. Will go here, which we're going to really deal with what this verse is talking about. But they'll go here, but they won't deal in context. Because if you're going to read 7, you have to read 8. Is it telling you don't hate white people, or is it telling you don't abhor them, right, for this purpose? And it's going to expound on what the purpose is in the 8th verse. If somebody's mixed with an Edomite, don't abhor or despise them. That's basically what it's talking about. You see what I'm saying? But people will just read that and say that means we can't hate the white man, even though the Bible clearly says it. You see what I'm saying? But let's get back on topic. Go read verse 8.
Verse 8. The children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord.
That's right. Go ahead.
In their 3rd generation.
So wait a minute. I thought a Mamzer couldn't enter into the 10th generation. But they're saying that this is talking about a Mamzer that's mixed, but it says 3rd generation. So how is that consistent? How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. What they're saying is, I'm gonna tell you what they're saying is, right? Our mom is white, right? But both of our baby moms, so-called baby mothers or women or whatever, they're black, right? So they're saying that we wouldn't be Israelites and our kids wouldn't be Israelites, but then our kids would then have to go get with a full-blooded Israelite, and then they would have to have kids in order to be an Israelite. You see what I'm saying? We're just some type of stuff. You know, it doesn't make sense saying you have to mix back into your 99% Israelite. You see what I'm saying? That's retarded.
Do you know how small the nation of Israel would be?
You know how mixed up we are?
Yeah.
Half of us don't even know our fathers.
That's right.
To even be able to establish, well, I don't know, because you have people who black and white who you can't even tell they're mixed. You see what I'm saying? They look full black. But you can't even tell sometimes, because the way genetics works, two people get together and anything under the sun can happen, right? But anything under the sun can happen when two people get together. You see what I'm saying? You have two dark-skinned people come, a light-skinned baby come out. Two light-skinned people get together, a dark-skinned baby. We don't know what's going to happen. That's a primary example that I like to use, because a lot of people would just think she's a black woman, but if you see her, both of her parents are Taino Indians. You see what I'm saying? But they made a Negroid child. How did that happen? Because they are, you know, of course, back in their lineage, they're Negroes. You see what I'm saying? But you wouldn't expect them two people to produce that child. You see what I'm saying? So anything can happen because we're so mixed up. But there's a way to determine what somebody is, who their daddy is. You see what I'm saying? And who his daddy is all the way back. You see what I'm saying? So go ahead.
And that's clear, man. I'm talking about that's a simple concept to eliminate all confusion.
How do you get your last name? Oh, it says 3 generations, and there's a reason for that, right? We know what happened a lot in slavery, right? It was rape that occurred. So you have rape that occurs. So let's say you have a black woman and a white man. they produce one child over here, right? A white child. Let's say it's a boy. You see what I'm saying? Because women outnumber men in the world, but there's more male births. You see what I'm saying? Male children just aren't. Male children are more likely to die, right? So, but there's more women overall on the earth, right? So these two people get together, white man, black woman. They have a boy. Within 3 generations of this offspring, a girl is going to come around. And like we were explaining earlier, that girl into, or she's around more black people, she's going to get with a black man that's going to have a black baby. That baby's going to be an Israelite. You see what I'm saying? So that's all it's saying, that within 3 generations, what's going to occur is that baby is going to get absorbed back into the population. Okay, that's all it's saying. If it's an Edomite or an Egyptian, nobody ever focuses on the fact that it also says Egyptian there. Because a lot of people just want to say if you're half white, because you can't tell if you're half Egyptian or half Hamitic. Right. One of them African people, you can't tell, because any of us could be half African and you can't tell. We all would look the same, right? But people don't do that because it's more obvious if you're half white. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. They're just playing it to willingly. And if they are mixed with a Hamite, and this verse is talking about a Mamzer, then they would be Mamzers too. And there's no real way to distinguish who's a Mamzer. The scriptures are plain and clear to say what somebody's nation are. Who do they go with? You see what I'm saying? You got that Hebrew real quick, because we're going to deal with this word for begotten, okay, and what it actually means or what it insinuates. The children begotten of these, because the word there is going to expound and let you know it's talking about a man, the men of those people. It has nothing to do with the women of those people.
Real quick. And then when we read it about a Mamzer in verse 2, it says pretty much a bastard, but we know that the word is Mamzer. A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to his 10th generation shall he not enter. In verse 7, it just says they will. It says the children begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their 3rd generation. It doesn't say they are not going to enter into the congregation until the 3rd generation. It says they'll enter in at the 3rd generation, which means you understand it's a different context of what's being said in verse 2 rather than verse 8.
It's stupid. This whole doctrine is real weak. But go ahead with the Hebrew. We gonna 3205, and then we're gonna go right to 3206. So read 3205, and I'm gonna show you how to do it in the Paleo Hebrew. Because when you take a look at how the word is written in Paleo Hebrew, you're gonna understand what that word means without even reading the definition. Go ahead.
This is Strong's H3205. It's the Hebrew word yalad, meaning to bear, bring forth, begat, gender, travail. Okay, so begat, right? I go to 3206 because the Strong's breaks things up into different numbers, right? But the word can be the same, but it'll have a different number and it'll have a different definition because the Masoretes added in dots and stuff like that, right? Child, son, boy, offspring.
The boy. So the men that have the children, all right, begotten of the men. That's what it's saying in Deuteronomy 23:7. And they got nothing to do with no one. Let's prove it. Let's go into this word. Matter of fact, before we go into this word, hit that. We can take a look at this word being used in scripture. Go ahead.
Genesis 4:23. And Lamech said unto his wives, Adah and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech. For I have slain a man to do my wounding, and a young man to my hurt.
And a young man. That word young man, that's yalad. So it's letting you know the men that have children, the Edomite men and the Egyptian men, they're going to be mixed back in within 3 generations. Don't worry about it.
And when you go into Strong, and you go into to the Strong's Concordance or the Blue Letter, and you go into 3606, it'll take you to 3205 as the root. But if you go to 3205, it's not going to necessarily take you to 3206. If you go to 3206 first, it's going to take you to the root to 3205.
The word yalad. You know what the y'all know what the characters mean? Each character, what it symbolizes. Well, we're gonna get into it a little bit. The yah, the yod is a hand. The la, this is a staff. The da, this is a door. Who holds a staff when they come to the door? A woman?
The man.
The man holds the staff. That symbolizes the power of the household.
Yeah.
So the word itself, the way it's spelled, lets you know what it's talking about. It's talking about a man. It ain't got nothing to do with a woman. You see what I'm saying? So basically what it's saying is the men, the Edomite men and the Egyptian men that may have had children amongst our populations, within 3 generations, they're going to get mingled in. Now, another point I want to make on this matter is these same people who will propagate the ideology that Mamzers are mixed people will say that they're outside of the congregation and they aren't to be dealt with, but they have to wait 3 generations, right? They got to mix in. But if they aren't to be dealt with, how the hell are we going to mix back into the population if it's forbidden for us to deal?
That's right.
That doesn't even make sense. You see what I'm saying? So it's just stupid. But a lot of these same people.
And it says not to abhor them.
Exactly. But don't abhor them. But you want to abhor them.
But you're abhorring them.
Picking and choosing, merging interpretations, and then abhorring.
And then
I can't even deal with you guys. But some people, these same people who I've heard propagate this same ideology will tell you that Gentiles could come in. We could deal with actual heathens and they could come and keep the laws and you can teach them. We'll accept an actual heathen, but a mixed person, cast them out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's stupid. You people are out of your mind. We got that. To 2 Kings 16 and 6. Now we're going to deal with Deuteronomy 23 and 7 and what it's dealing with. Because the word for Deuteronomy 23 and 7, Edomite, it's not even talking about an Edomite on top of that. It's not even talking about an Edomite. So like I said, we're going to tackle it from every direction. Let's go to 2 Kings 16 and 6. This is the same word that appears for Edomite in Deuteronomy 23 and 7. Go ahead.
2 Kings chapter 16, verse 6.
Uh-huh.
At the time, Rezin, king of Syria, recovered Elath, the Syria.
The king of what?
That recovered Elath to Syria, king of Syria.
So he recovered Elath to Syria. When it says Syria, when it says recovered Elath to Syria, that's the same exact word that says Edomite. So it has nothing to do with that Edomite. It's talking about Syrians. Okay. Atazaban, do me a favor. Hold Deuteronomy 23 and 7. Just hold it because we're gonna hit it a couple times. You finished that?
It says, and the Syrians came to Elath and dwelt there unto this day.
So it's talking about Syrians, not talking about white people. Genesis 36 and 9. We're going to prove who it's talking about. Matter of fact, read Deuteronomy 23 and 7 for me.
Deuteronomy 23 and 7. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite.
It says, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. Why?
For he is thy brother.
For he is thy brother. Right now, let's go to that real quick. Genesis 36 and 9.
Genesis 36, verse 9. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. Now,
real quick, when it says Edomite right there, that's different than the word for Edomite there. The word for Edomite there is the same one for Syrian. This is a whole different word for Edomite. Let us know, and they talk about no Edomite.
What, Genesis 36?
Yeah, Genesis 36, different from Deuteronomy 23 and 7. Right? Now go to Genesis 29 and 15. And we're going to prove that it's talking about the Syrians through the precepts. It says, read that again, matter of fact.
Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother.
For he is thy brother. Why don't we abhor Edomites? They are our brothers. Did Jacob and Esau come out of the same womb? Yes, but through understanding of how that word is used as Syrian and understanding who our brothers really are, because that whole brotherly covenant was totally forsaken with Esau, right? But understanding who our brothers really are, we can get more understanding and clarification on what that verse is dealing with. Read that in 29 and 15.
Genesis chapter 29, verse 15. And Laban said unto Jacob.
Laban, right? Laban or Laban, whatever you want to say. Read.
Because thou art my brother.
He said what?
Because thou art my brother.
Laban said to Jacob, our forefather, thou art my brother. Was Laban an Edomite? No, he was a Syrian, right? Go ahead.
It says, because thou art, because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught.
Okay, so let's go to 31 and 29, still in Genesis. So Laban told Jacob he is his brother, okay, a Syrian. He is my brother. As we know, that word, Deuteronomy 23 and 7 for Edomite is also used as Syrian. So let's go there.
It says, you said 31 and 29.
24, select it. 31 and 24.
Genesis chapter 31, verse 24. And the Most High came to Laban, or Laban, the Syrian. The Syrian.
So what is Laban? A Syrian, right? The Syrian shall not be abhorred because they are our brothers. Laban, the Syrian, told Jacob he is his brother. Read.
In a dream by night, and said unto him, take heed that thou speak not to Jacob, either good or bad.
Okay, now let's go to Deuteronomy 25 and 19. So we established that word for Edomite there is used as Syrian. It's not the same as the word that's typically used for Edomite. We've now established also that the Syrians are considered our brothers. All right, making more sense out of this verse. Let's go to Deuteronomy 25 and 19. 2 chapters later, the Most High instructs us to do something to a group of people. Let's find out. Deuteronomy 25, 19.
Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 19. Therefore, it shall be when the Lord thy God hath given thee rest from all thine enemies round about,
read,
in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven.
It says, go ahead, finish it.
And shall not forget it.
So you shall exterminate Amalek. You know who the Amalekites are? You had them, well, you know who they are now. Khazars, you said last week, right? The Khazars are the descendants of Amalek. Right? Some people will tell you the Amalekites are not Edomites. That's a lie. We're going to prove it with the Bible.
And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz.
Eliphaz from Esau, right? Read.
Esau's son.
Esau's son. Go ahead.
And she bare to Eliphaz Amalek.
Amalek. Read.
These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife.
So Amalek is a man that was Esau's grandson and became a group of Edomites known as the Amalekites. So you mean to tell me in Deuteronomy 23, the Most High told you not to abhor or despise Edomites. Then 2 chapters later, turn around and told you to exterminate an entire group.
Maybe what is it, baby? Now, just in a what is that? Just a neutral zone.
Yeah, and now is it like
wow?
So like let's say, look, I'm black and white, right? Mixed, so called. So you mean to tell me that somebody who's black and white is the same as somebody who's Lebanese and Japanese?
Pretty much.
We're mixed.
Yeah,
we have nothing in common, but just that we're 2 different cultures that came together and made you. Now you guys have that in common.
And at the same time, what if that offspring doesn't have the desire to try to really go back and get what, whatever nation that you came from?
Yeah.
And then they go get, let's say Edomite got with a Hamite. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then whoever that baby is, that neutral mixed baby goes and gets with an Amorite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that Amorite mixed whatever neutral baby goes and get with a Moabite, or then a Japhite.
Yeah.
What is this? A whole bunch of just mixed neutral people around in the earth? Yeah. That doesn't make no sense. That's confusion.
Yeah. We all go back to some type of forefather.
That's right.
That's why it's called a genealogy.
You have to be associated with a nation, some way, shape, or form.
There's no just like people over there. When they say like they used to have, the black and the white rating rooms in the South, what they supposed to just stand in the doorway between the 2 in the middle?
Right.
I'm gonna just stand here in the doorway.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna spend 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there.
This is just stupid. Some people are just stupid, and they don't realize that they over here and what they're propagating is Willie Lynch syndrome. That's right. Dark versus light, mixed versus not mixed, even black versus Hispanic, black versus Native American. The white man divisively did all of that to keep us separate. And you now are calling yourself somebody who's trying to stand up against white supremacy.
That's right.
But you're like, you're using it. You're still a victim of it. You can't fight against it until you stop allowing your mind to be victimized by it. Period.
And it all goes back to, what the brother just said, being envious of, white supremacy, light versus dark, and you being envious of this lighter shaded person.
Yeah, you let your resentment turn into, you're making it look like
confusion. You being confused, because the thing is, if an Israelite being a so-called Negro gets with a Hamite and they still come out dark skinned, nappy, short hair, it's cool. It's okay. But if you get with a white woman
or a Hispanic that has already been mixed with white,
then they get the soft, long stuff. Yeah. Then it's a problem, and now we can't have
Romans 9. What verse you believe?
11 to 13.
Romans 9, 11 and 13. For the children being not born.
Before Esau was born, God had his mind made up about Esau. All right, read.
Neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to the election might stand, not of works.
Not of works, read.
But of him that calleth.
So Esau was never our brother. Okay, I'm going to just say that right now. Go ahead. We came out the same womb twice, and he was still not our brother. All right, read.
It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger.
The white man going to serve us. Read.
As is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
Jacob have I loved, and Esau have I hated. The Most High always hate Esau. All right, so that's not our brother. So that's not who he's talking about when he says not to abhor Edomite. He's talking about the Syrian. Because if you think about it, Laban was a Syrian, Rachel was a Syrian, Leah was a Syrian. You see what I'm saying? Even Rebecca was a Syrian. You see what I'm saying? Rebecca was, Isaac and Rebecca. Rebecca was, and I believe so was Sarah. Go ahead, you have a question?
So why was the word Edomite used?
Well, the translators did it, and what's funny is, I'm gonna show you. You have Assyrian Hebrew, right? Which is, of course, what people would, the modern Hebrew, not just Paleo that I'm right. So in the Assyrian Hebrew, you have the word, you have a letter R, right? Because how you say Syrian is Aram, okay? And then you have Edom, which is Adam or Adawam. So you have literally the only letter that's different is the R and the D. But the difference is in a modern Hebrew, the D is like a longer line. You see what I'm saying? It's like a longer line. So this line, they look exact. I'm not doing it, of course, how it is because I don't really know how to write this area fancy like that. But it's just a long line that's the difference. So depending on the length of the line determines if an R is there or a D is there. You see what I'm saying? And that's the only difference between Edom and Syria. You see what I'm saying? So what they say happened was somebody interpreted or because of the length of the line thought it was a D, so they put Edom in there instead of putting Syria in there. That's why.
Then but then clearly it shows when you go precept upon precept how that mistake is revealed.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm gonna tell it to you like this: as confusing as the brother just said, how somebody can interpret it as either being a D or an R, they have both.
Yeah, they have both. So
they have both words there.
They even were confused about
it. To either say it could be this or that. So when I go to it, I'll let you.
The Strong's even identifies that word as, you know, either or.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's up to the prophets to basically.
If you look,
you know,
and when it says Syria, you see the Hebrew word for Syria, and then up under it, it's the same. You know, it's,
you see that?
The word Edom.
Yeah, right there. You see that Edom and Syria. You see that? So
that was they have both to say, you know, it could go either way. So it's like precept upon precept, we can decipher as we say doctrinal definition.
Yeah, the doctrinal definition.
Rather
because the Bible gives you the definition of a lot of stuff.
Even though we can go into this and read it, we understand that this was translated by Edomites.
Yeah, the Masoretes.
The Masoretes. We know this is Edomites scholarship, and we know that the Most High isn't really dealing with them as far as to decipher truth. As far as the scriptures are concerned.
And they purposely did a few things with the language in the scriptures, like in Judges, in the book of Judges 18. Matter of fact, go to Judges 18 real quick so we can show this example, because they purposely did a few things with the language here and there. In Judges is like a primary example of it.
Judges 18 and 30. It says, "And the children of Dan set up the graven image, and Jonathan the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh."
The son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh. Manasseh don't have no son named Gershom. Moses has a son named Gershom. So this is one of Moses' descendants who was a priest, but he was being like an idolatrous priest. So they purposely corrupted the word Moses, which Moses and Manasseh in Hebrew, it's one letter difference. Moses is just whatever, M, SH, and then the H, right? That's Moses. Manasseh is the same, but it's got an N right here. So all they did was add the N in to change the word because they didn't want Moses to be associated with idolatry. So they purposely corrupted that word right there. So there's instances where they do it, but majority of them are documented. That's the good thing about it. You see what I'm saying? So we can see where they, threw their little stuff in. But another good tool is the fact that we have things like certain of the Dead Sea Scrolls and things like that, certain older manuscripts that predate the Masoretic text to kind of cross-reference to see the accuracy. The Masoretic text is really good, but there are a few discrepancies, so that's why it's good that we study those to know when we come across them what to do. You see what I'm saying?
Obadiah verse 10, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
That's right, read on.
In that day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captives his forces, and foreigners entered into the gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them. It says, but thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that thou became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of a stranger. And that's exactly what it's speaking. That's exactly what it's speaking about it's speaking about the Egyptians, as you being strangers.
Yeah, we were strangers in Egypt. And also the point where I said also not to abhor the Egyptian because you were strangers, basically the Most High was telling us don't be like them. Just because when you went to their land, they mistreated you. When they come to your land, don't mistreat them like that, right? Go ahead.
But it says, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress.
Because the brotherly covenant, any brotherly covenant that we had with Esau, with the Edomites, was forsaken before we even came into existence as a nation, going back to when Jacob and Esau, the actual men, was on the scene. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him.
So He hated Jacob. Read.
And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So he made a vow in his heart to kill Jacob, right?
And a precept to that is over.
So there's no brotherhood anymore. Once you have a vow in your mind, you're dead set on killing me, there's no more brotherhood. And that wasn't even fulfilled by Esau. He didn't kill Jacob. It was fulfilled through his descendants killing us, like we was talking about earlier, like you were saying earlier. The devil making white people kill black people. Yeah, because that is the vow that their forefather made. What was your point on?
I was just like, when you read it, it just kind of basically the only reason why he didn't kill him is because he was mourning for his father.
Yeah. He said, when this is over, when I'm done being messed up about this, I'm gonna come for your life. You see what I'm saying? And that's why Jacob fled to Laban, and that's why all that happened. And then we were made brothers with the Syrians.
I was just about to say that. Think about how the sequence happened. Esau gets mad at Jacob. Jacob's mother sends him to Laban, the Syrian, his brother, which that word could be, or let's just be a fair.
Yeah,
what that word could be in Deuteronomy 23. But it just said that Esau was going to kill his brother. But then the Lord tells us not to hate him.
Yeah, exactly. Let's be serious here. Let's just line this precept, so let's line all the evidence up, and let's just make a logical deduction here. What is this really saying? Right. It's saying Syrian. It's not even saying white.
Exactly.
It's saying the Syrian.
It's saying Syrian. Why? Because listen. The two people that we became nations through. It's telling us don't.
The Syrians and the Egyptians. Yeah,
it's telling us don't abhor these people. That's through the spirit right there.
You see, these same people who will propagate this ideology that Mamzers are mixed people, they'll use a specific term, and the term they'll say is Hebrew women. They have to be born through Hebrew women, right?
Right.
Now, are Edomites Hebrews? Yeah, they are Hebrews. Oh, yeah. Edomites are Hebrews. What makes somebody a Hebrew? Hebrew means you are descended from a man by the name of Eber. Okay, Eber. Give me 1 Chronicles 1:24 real quick, and read 24 to 28.
1:24.
Yeah. Now we are Hebrews, but we are Israel. We call ourselves what? Hebrew Israelites, right? Because there are many different groups of Hebrews, right? But there's a specific nation that are Israelites that are separated from everybody else. So it's important to understand we're not just Hebrew; we are Hebrew Israelites. But go ahead, 1 Chronicles 1, read 24 to 28. Go ahead.
1 Chronicles 1:24. Shem. Arphaxad.
Shem. You have a man named Shem. Okay, read.
Arphaxad. Shalach.
Arphaxad. Read.
Shalach. Eber.
Eber. So you had a man named Eber. Read.
Peleg. Reu. Sarug. Nahar. Terah.
So this is Eber. It's listed all the descendants of Eber in line. These are all the people who are considered Hebrew. Read.
Terah. Abram. The son. The same as Abraham.
Same as Abraham. That's 28.
The sons of Abraham, Isaac and Ishmael.
Isaac and Ishmael. Skip to 34.
Verse 34. It says, and Abraham begat Isaac, the sons of Isaac, Esau and Ishmael. And Israel.
And Israel, right? So Esau is a Hebrew, because we just read the lineage, and he comes from the line of Eber. So does Ishmael. So a Hebrew woman could be a white woman, could be an Arabian woman, or it could be a black, Hispanic, or Native Indian woman.
It could be
a Moabite woman,
or
an Ammonite. The same people who was talking about who are actual Mamzers, they are Hebrew. So when they say, oh, you have to be born through a Hebrew woman, well, if you were born from a white woman or an Arab woman or an Asian woman, you were still born from a Hebrew woman. So that's stupid also. You use correct, at least qualify your terminology if you're going to be an asshole. All right? Give me Genesis 25 and 20. We're going to, like I said, thoroughly go into this.
Genesis.
And yeah, you got Deuteronomy 23 and 7. Just keep holding it, because we're going to go back to it again. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 20. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife.
Rebekah, read.
The daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian.
The Syrian. You see it? So we came through the Syrians, right? That's why it's our brother. You see what I'm saying? That's why they consider our brother. We had deals with them when we was dealing with their women. Read.
That's right. The sister to Laban, the Syrian.
This Laban's sister, right? That was on 20. Okay, but real quick, Syrians are not Hebrew. They're Shemitic, but they're not Hebrew. So our father Isaac took a woman who was not a Hebrew woman, even though there were Hebrew women out there, right? Took a woman that was not Hebrew and made the nation of Israel. So is it really that big of a problem? Are you not a Hebrew? By this definition, none of us are Hebrew. The Israelites are not even Israelites. Okay? That was it on that? Let's go. Give me 1 Kings 21, 14 rather, 14 to 21. Yeah, keep holding that up. We're going to get to it 1 second.
14:21.
Uh-huh.
First Kings chapter 14, verse 21.
Read.
And it says, and Rehoboam, the son of Solomon.
Rehoboam, the son of Solomon. Read.
Reigned in Judah.
Uh-huh.
Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign.
Right, read on.
And he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem,
Uh-huh.
the city which the Lord did choose out of all the tribes of Israel to put his name there. And his mother's name was Raamah and Ammonitis.
An Ammonite. So Rehoboam was a king, and his mother was an Ammonite woman. So what was Rehoboam? He was mixed. Some people may say, well, he was wicked, and that was during Solomon's time of being wicked. But watch this. Let's go to 1 Kings 12 and read 1-7. And we're going to examine it. Examine this thing. Another example similar to Jephthah, where you have a mixed person coming in a position of power. Examine this thing. Another example similar to Jephthah, where you have a mixed person coming in a position of power. Right? Read.
1 Kings 12:1. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel will come to Shechem to make him king.
This is when they're making him the king, right? Read.
Verse 2. And it came to pass when Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt, that they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father and his heavy yoke, which he yet put upon us, lighter, and he will serve thee.
Read. And we will serve thee. So Rehoboam is getting basically a proposition. They're saying, look, your father made a heavy yoke on us, because as Solomon got up in age, he began to get wicked. He began to start following idols and things like that, because of all the women he was dealing with, one of which being this man's mother. So they're saying, look, we will give you the opportunity to say, well, we'll serve thee, but don't do the wickedness that your father did. Basically, you see what I'm saying? Which made a heavy yoke upon him. Now, if he's mixed, why would they even, and it's so bad and it's so unlawful for a mixed person, and a mixed person is not an Israelite, why are they even giving him the benefit of this? Why are they even saying, well, look, if you do this, we'll serve you? At this point, they should say, you're not fit to be king because you're mixed, and we're going to do a coup and we're going to oust you. Why isn't that taking place? Because there's nothing wrong with him being mixed. That's why. Go ahead.
And he said unto them, depart yet for 3 days. Then come again to me, and the people departed. And King Rehoboam consulted with old men that stood before Solomon his father.
So you have old men, wise men. Did these wise men say you should step down because you're mixed?
Right.
No. Okay, read.
While he yet lived, and said, how do you advise that I may answer this people? And they spake unto him, saying, if thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and will serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever.
How can a Mamzer do that? How can a Mamzer speak these good words and minister unto these people and do the right thing? Apparently, I mean, according to everybody, what these people are saying, they can't. They have to be ousted. But of course, this didn't happen, because that's not real. Read.
You said go to 7?
Go to 7, yeah.
Yeah, that was 7.
That was 7. Okay. Now, also another argument they'll come on, this is the last argument we're going to deal with, which they come on, is a racial argument. They'll say they're the same race. It's got to be the same. But the problem with the Edomite is they're a different race than you, right? What does race mean? You know what race means? Race. You know what race means? Race comes from a Hebrew word. I love writing my Hebrew. Raza. Okay, this is where the word comes from. A Hebrew word, raza. And it simply means nation. Your nation. But what did the white man tell you? The color of your skin makes you what race you are. So they're now using an argument that came into existence by racist white scientists that your color means it is what it is, right? But watch this. Let's entertain that that's true what they're saying. Your race. The same verse they used to say that. Let's read it again. Deuteronomy 23:7.
Deuteronomy 23:7. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother.
Read.
Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian.
Now, aren't Egyptians the same race? Those ancient Kemetic Nubians, they're the same race as Israelite black people, right? Technically, by the white man's standards, they're the same race. So why is it saying the same thing it says about the Edomites goes for the Egyptians? Because it has nothing to do with the racial construct that white people introduced millennia after this was codified in law. This just has to do with the Syrians and the Egyptians. That's all it's got to do. To prove it, let's go now to Genesis 41 and 45.
It's crazy you start seeing all the confusion
All they doing is putting confusion out, and they love it, and they'll run.
The truth comes out, and it's like, no wonder.
The truth come out, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
All the pieces line.
Genesis chapter 41, verse 45. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name.
Pharaoh called Joseph's name. Read.
Zaphnath Pa'ania.
Whatever the hell that means, right? Read. Go ahead. And that's his Medunetter name. Go ahead.
And he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On.
So Joseph was given what? An Egyptian woman. He had an Egyptian wife. All right, was this so wrong? Read.
And Joseph went out all over the land of Egypt.
So now, if we're going to use the same ideology that we have about the Edomite, right? Because it says Edomite and Egyptian the same birth. If we're going to use this same logic, if it's the Edomite, then Ephraim and Manasseh are not Israelites. Therefore, they don't even have tribes. But then it got so big that their two half tribes that started being functioning as their own tribe. Come on, man. The precepts is killing. Skip to 50, read 50 to 52.
Verse 50. And unto Joseph were born two sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, bare unto him.
Letting you know, listen, don't try to weasel. Well, that was by no, that was the Egyptian woman's kids.
At that time, was Israel even
a nation?
Was the tribes even in?
No, the tribes wasn't even there yet.
The tribes wasn't even in there yet.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But then see, that's the thing, because then it's okay. So it was okay, and then they'll say, oh, well, the law hadn't been given yet.
And guess what? If we're going to be technical, we were told not to deal with the Canaanite women in like Genesis 24.
That's right.
It was already put out, don't deal with the Canaanite women. But who did Judah have his kids by? A Canaanite woman. Then they died. Then there was another Canaanite when he had to have sex with her. She had to trick him because he was playing, but he knew damn well that was a Canaanite woman because he lived in Canaan. How you going to live somewhere and not have babies with these people? If you go to Mira Mesa, right? Mira Mesa is what, an Asian neighborhood? You see everybody with an Asian. You see what I'm saying? You see women, white women, Mexican women, even black women with Asian. And you see black men, white men, Mexican men with Asian women. If you are in this community where it's a bunch of them, it's going to be hard not to mingle with them. You see what I'm saying? Let alone the thousands of them that existed in Canaan where we live. You see what I'm saying? Then we go to Egypt, it's other Hamitic people. You see what I'm saying? So it's unavoidable dealing with them. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for the Most High said, He hath made me forget all my toil.
He said these kids were a blessing from the Most High God. This was a blessing, these children. I thought they were Mamzers. I thought they weren't right. Oh, the same race. But no, it said Edomite and Egyptian equivalent. So that doctrine is gone. Stop it. Read the 52.
That's verse 52. The name of the second called he Ephraim.
Ephraim, read.
For the Most High hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction.
The Most High blessed me and made me fruitful. Now go to Hosea 7 and 8. So Ephraim and Manasseh were made from the Egyptian woman. Right? So we understand that. Now we're going to read a prophecy about Ephraim that actually trickles down to the entire northern kingdom, which is why we know them as Latinos and Native Americans today, because they have various looks. You have so-called mestizo, Negro ones, Indian, various things, right? Because they're mixed. Go ahead.
Hosea 7 and 8. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people.
Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Does it say Ephraim mixed himself among the people and now they're not, now they're Mamzers?
Right.
No, they're mixed, but they're still Israelites. They're still Ephraimite. Right? Read.
Ephraim is a cake not turned.
They look different. What does that mean? You can turn on baseball right now. You turn on a Padres game or any game, right? You'll see people of various colors on that field. Half of them is all from the same country. Half of them Dominican, half of them Puerto Rican, Cuban, Nicaragua, whatever. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it means when they say he's a cake not turned. You have some darker, you have some lighter due to mixture. It doesn't make them not Israelites. It means they're mixed Israelites. Some of them may be other nations, but we know that according to Matthew 13, when Yahweh Shai returns, he's going to sort all of that out. My thing is, when you go into the law, like the laws are plain, it tells you if a man has sex with a man like he has sex with a woman, he gets put to death. I want to show me, because all those things are loose interpretations of the verses that we read, that they are literally creating these doctrines to cater to their insecurities and their resentments with. It never says verbatim. I feel like, is it logical? Am I wrong for saying that if it was unlawful for, or if a child was not considered an Israelite, if a union between an Israelite man and a non-Israelite woman, wouldn't it just say that? Why wouldn't it just say that verbatim? Thou shalt not deal with the women of Edom, or your offspring will not be Israelites, they will be Mamzers. Why doesn't it say that? I mean, it would be pretty simple. Why did I have to dive all in here to figure this out and merge two scriptures that don't even go together in order to figure this out? Because it's not real. It's a made-up doctrine. David Ortiz and Dr. Umar
Johnson. It's about the same dude, man. Okay.
But one's Dominican and one's so-called African American. Come on, man. So this is what it means when it say cake not turned. And then you have Albert Pujols, right? You have Albert Pujols, who looks like a Dominican, but his grandfather is from Haiti. But nobody knew that. You see what I'm saying? So we're mixed up as a nation, all right? And we're going to get it together in the kingdom. But as of right now, we're mixed, and that's just an unavoidable fact. And we're not supposed to abhor somebody because they're mixed. We clearly saw that in Judges, right?
That's a huge stumbling block too.
Yeah,
because I know when I
first Samuel. Go ahead.
When I first was, getting, into the truth, I was running across a lot of that doctrine.
A lot of Negro only doctrine.
And I was just like, well, where the hell do I fit in now?
Yeah, Kanye. Now I'm just some type of exiled person. Yeah. That doctrine was big in like 2013. That doctrine started booming and it died out. Now it's coming back again. That's all. These doctrines, it's just a cycle of new doctrines that come out. You see what I'm saying? The flat earth doctrine was big for a minute. What else? Recently, the Book of Enoch, mermaids, all this miss me. You see what I'm saying? We got to just deal with what the scriptures say. And the scriptures just do not cater to madness. Battery's getting low, but that's okay because we're getting ready to close out anyway. 1 Samuel 16:7.
1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7. It says, but the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance.
Right, read.
Or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth.
The Lord don't see how you see. So you may see somebody whose facial features may be confusing. You're not really sure. This person is what they would call racially ambiguous. We're not really sure, right? The Most High is not looking at what you're looking at. He's looking at the spirit of this individual. Okay, read.
For man looketh on the outward appearance.
You look at the outward appearance. Oh, his hair is kind of straight. His nose is kind of pointy. His skin is kind of like, I don't know, right? That's how we look. The Most High don't look like that. Okay, read.
But the Lord looketh on the heart.
He looketh on the heart because that's what he created. He created the spirit, and there is a balance between spirit and flesh. That's why we are melanated people. We have all this great physical prowess and strengths and things of that nature because it's a balance. But you have people who don't have melanin who are talented. Steph Curry, who's the best shooter in the league right now? Steph Curry? How much melanin does Steph Curry have? Not as much as who's another shooter that's in the league that's not as good? Jamal Crawford. Jamal Crawford's a great shooter. All right. But he doesn't have as much melanin as Jamal Crawford. But who got a ring this year? Who led their team to a championship? Steph Curry did. We dropped the ball against Houston. Okay. But that's the whole thing about it. And then, Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin jump out the gym, bang on hard, do all that. He's a damn black ginger. You see what I'm saying? He don't have all that much melanin, but he's an Israelite. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So the spirit of him is what makes it. The melanin plays a huge role in who we are. Let's not get that twisted. Melanated skin is power, according to I got that lesson, which Lord willing I'm going to go into soon. Melanated skin is synonymous with being powerful in the Bible, but lacking melanin doesn't make you not an Israelite. You see what I'm saying? Having a deficiency or not as much as the next brother doesn't make you not an Israelite, because the Most High is looking on your spirit that He created, which is why I spoke about spermiogenesis earlier, because you develop as a living soul, as a living element with energy in your father's testicle. So whatever he is what you are, because he produced you. Then you go into the egg, and when you merge with the egg, which the egg is alive because it's organic material, but it doesn't make you who you are. You merge with it, and then it assists you in becoming a person. It's a vortex. You see what I'm saying? So it's very important, but it doesn't determine who you are. The sperm does. And the sperm, they're doing new studies, and a sperm is a very highly intelligent being. Even it's called, when you're in the testicle stage, is called a spermazoa or spermatozoa, right? And zoa, that's where you get the word zoo from, right? Zoo. Zoa. It means the animal. You're an actual living animal in your father. We all have living animals swimming around in us right now. Millions of them. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you are with your father. You see what I'm saying? Last scripture, give me Romans 11:16. We're going to end it on that.
Romans chapter 11, verse 16.
Uh-huh.
For if the first fruit be holy.
If the first fruit be holy, read.
The lump is also holy.
So if you come in from a holy stock, any stock that comes from you, that's a holy stock. That's an Israelite. Okay, read.
And if the root be holy.
If the root of the stock. So you may be mixed, you may be 3/4 white, 75% white. But if your father's lineage goes all the way back to a man by the name of Jacob, it doesn't matter. You're an Israelite. You're holy, sanctified to the Most High. Read.
So are the branches.
So are the branches. Okay,
So
and
your
branches.
seeds.
Your seeds. This is all agricultural, right? Root, seed, branches. It's all agricultural metaphor. Just like the temple metaphor, which Lord willing, we're gonna get back in the temple next week. Any questions? None? Any questions? All right, battery's getting low. We're gonna end on that again. All praise, honor, glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. In the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.
Shalom.